Recording should be started. All right, friends. Well, welcome everybody to FPTalks 2022. Really excited to see everyone. It's been a very interesting year, but one of the things that is invariant is the joy of interacting with this community. So welcome everybody, super excited for the day. Just wanted to kick things off with a quick overview of some things that have been going on in FP Bench over the past year, and sort of the big picture view of what FPTalks is all about and why we're here. So, really at the end of the day, FP Bench as an organization is really about trying to be a water cooler. And that sounds kind of strange, but, for many of us, we're at universities where there aren't that many people who are doing numerics research, or maybe we're in a team at a company where we're sort of the numbers person. And it can be a little bit lonely to be the only person who gets really excited when you hear about some new innovation about the innards of MPFR, or some new way to build correct math libraries, or you have a new idea for how to build a fast division circuit. And so FP Bench sort of grew out of the need for a place for those people who don't have anybody to chat with to gather and talk about the things that we're really excited about. And over the past year, the way that's really taken the most shape has been in these community meetings. So each month we have a community meeting, which is about an hour long, and they're really informal. We haven't been recording them, so people just can ask dumb questions, and those often lead to really interesting discussions. And so far they've leaned a little bit more toward the academic side, but we are very excited to have more industrial folks join who are doing cool stuff with numerics in industry. So please sign up for those as well. And just wanted to give a big acknowledgement to Bill, who's been doing a lot of work to organize that and keep it on track. And you'll hear more from Bill later today. So in addition to the monthly meetings, which have really become the heart of FP Bench in many ways, there is also a lot of work on the infrastructure inside of FP Bench. And that basically breaks down along three lines. So first, we've got about, I think, 150 benchmarks right now, which are mostly small numerical kernels that explore some interesting property of different number systems. Those additionally allow papers to get off the ground by having some set of benchmarks to initially explore and experiment with. And hopefully you can sort of roll those back in after your paper is published by contributing them back. We also have been developing a lot of compilers to translate to and from these standard formats. And so if you have a tool that works on C or something and you want to use the FP Bench benchmarks, that's okay. There's a compiler that translates from the FP Bench format to C. Similarly for Julia, OCaml, MATLAB, et cetera, et cetera. And then tying all these together is a set of standards that describe what each benchmark means and how it should be interpreted. So altogether, we have this sort of ecosystem that we've been growing. People are using it increasingly, but it still has some sharp edges. So, we are very open to pull requests. Please file issues and let us know. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that happened the past year in response to feedback from the last FPTalks and community meetings. One is that FP Bench is now properly licensed under a permissive open source license, which should make it easy to use in both your academic research and in industrial projects. This took a little bit of sleuthing because we had to go track down everybody who'd ever committed in the repo, but now it's done. And also the compilers have been substantially fleshed out. This year, Brett added a bunch of support for different programming languages, perhaps most excitingly Python, which we're hoping leads to further broadening the community and pulling in more people who don't have as much floating point expertise. A third aspect of FP Bench is education. And so as you all know, there's a lot of students who come to the meetings and participate and present. And that's been great, providing them an opportunity to sort of engage with the community, get feedback from folks other than their friends and advisors. But it's also led to several internships and collaborations, which have led to papers, which is another form of training that we're really excited about. The FP Bench website also promotes community tools. So if you have a floating point tool that you want more people to know about, please let us know and we'll put it on the community tools page. But there's a bigger question that we've started thinking about more in these community meetings and talking about, which is, can we help with education in the classroom as well? And there's a big challenge, which is that a lot of times when people are first taught floating point, they're not taught it by somebody who knows much numerics. And so we've been thinking, is there some sort of module or reusable materials that as a community we could put together and endorse that people could just take off the shelf and use in the classroom. And that's really challenging. There's a lot of tricky design issues. There might be some technical work that we need to do, like making a really good constructive real library in Python, for example. We're not really sure yet, but this is something that we hope to continue discussing in the community meetings going forward. So this is our third year running FPTalks, which is really exciting. We sort of have gone over the hump. I think it is officially a thing now, but it's actually the fifth year of the project. And each year we typically something sort of significant and big happens. The past year, the community meetings, thanks to Bill's shepherding, have really come into their own. But at the end of the day, this is a community that's about whatever you want. So please do, join the Slack, sign up for the mailing list, the Google group, and be noisy. If there's something that'd be useful to you, let's schedule a community meeting about it. Everybody in FP Bench is just hanging out and volunteering. They're excited to hear your ideas and want to make FP Bench whatever is most useful to the community. So that's kind of enough gabbing. Here's a quick preview of what we have in store today. This first session, which we'll get to here in just a minute, has mostly our European friends because it's getting a little bit late for them. So we're going to hear about some things with alternate number systems and hardware, some ideas about how we might influence the future of the C standard with correctly rounded math libraries, and an attack on the memory barrier by looking into compressed matrix computations with Mathieu. In the second session, we're going to learn more about correctly rounded math libraries with an even more automated approach from Santosh, a new floating point virtual machine tool for testing out different number systems and configurations, new support and interfaces to help users understand what's going on when their programs are numerically misbehaving, and hardware design tools where we can efficiently generate custom circuits for specialized operations. Then wrapping things up in session 3, we're going to hear from TJ at Google on accelerating HPC applications on TPUs. We're going to talk with Mike about being able to see what your floating point computation is doing. We're going to hear from Jinyi about floating point exceptions, and Bill is going to close out the day by reprising the classic "What Every Computer Scientist Should Know" with sort of perhaps a more modern take. So that's the plan. As we mentioned earlier, for folks who just joined, normally in our community meetings, there's a lot of interruption and discussion during the talk. Today, we're going to try to keep that down a little bit because 10 minutes is short. So we want to make sure folks have time to finish what they want to say. But we do have 5 minutes between each talk for some discussion. Please feel free to use the Zoom chat or the Slack. Also is a great choice. The advantage of the Slack is that it will persist beyond today. So we've slightly encouraged that. But if the Zoom chat is where you are, that's fine as well. And all the talks will be recorded. So if you miss something and want to come back, those will be posted pretty soon. But I think with that, we'll take any quick questions and then we will hand it off to Florent. Any concerns or questions about the day? Okay, friends. Well, Florent,